Hello and welcome to Gary's Garage. It's really good to be back in the garage. It's been a couple of months and we're going to start off this year with something a little bit easy. This is my 2004 BMW M3 cab, and we're just doing some maintenance today. We're just going to do the oil change and just look under the undercarriage. So let's get started. Okay, before we get started, let's just review what we're going to need to do this job. Pretty simple. Obviously, we're going to need some oil. There's 6 liters of the BMW, I don't know why they call it M twin power turbo or whatever. It's just a marketing name, but it is the specialty 10W60 oil, which BMW specifies for the S54 motor, which is in the M3. So 6 liters of that, and a BMW filter kit. There's lots of European manufacturers you can get this from. Around here I'm more comfortable getting this kit. Kit comes with the O-ring for the oil filter housing, comes with the drain plug washer, as well as a washer and a little rubber O-ring, which is used in the filter housing. You want to replace that every time. And then you've got the BMW oil filter, and there's the part number on it if you want. So that's what we need to get done. So unlike a car with a cartridge filter, the first thing that the other thing we need, of course, is tools. So we're going to need a 13mm ratchet socket. We're going to need a 6mm Allen socket. We're going to need a small blade screwdriver. Well, you can use your fingers, but this helps. Some protective gloves and some protective eyewear so you don't splash anything in your eyes. So that's about all we really need to do this job. A few rags maybe, because it's me, I'll probably spill something, and a bucket to put the oil in, and then we're going to dispose of that properly. So I'll put you up on the tripod here and let's get started. Alright, so the first thing to do is to remove the cover of the oil filter, but you'll notice that there's a connector. The throttle position sensor connector is in the way, so just press in the wire and that will release it and pull it out, and then just get it out of the way so that it doesn't interfere. Next up, use your 13mm socket and ratchet. You can use a wrench or whatever. It's not that tight. You can see there's a washer there. That's a crush washer as part of the seal, and this is where you want to make sure that you don't spill anything down the engine. So you want to take your time. As you release the cover, air gets in and the oil should drain out into the pan. And so in my case, for most people may not be as concerned, but this car is pretty fantastic condition. I want to keep it very clean. So there's the little O-ring on the end of this bolt, and the crush washer is, well, it's crushed in there. You have to use my thumb to get it out, and that'll be replaced. Alright, so let's set that aside. And we carefully remove the cover. Nice and clean inside. We'll be replacing this O-ring. Now I've got my bucket really close by, so as I pull out this filter, I will be putting this straight in the bucket. So it's going to be dripping straight in, straight in the bucket. All right, no spills, all good. Here's a good opportunity to inspect inside. Make sure everything is okay. You don't have to clean inside just to inspect. You can, but it just increases the opportunity of foreign material to get inside the oil system, which you do not want to happen. So the filter is not in place to filter it out. It may get through. So just kind of stay out of it, right? Is your best bet. So there we go. Pretty simple stuff. And before you, so we're doing this before we've drained the oil. And what you can do is we can install, get the new filter ready to go back in. We can do that and then go below and drain the oil. So let's do that. Okay, next up we're going to prepare the bolt. To do that, we're going to use a pick. You can use a small screwdriver. Preferably do not puncture your fingers with the pick. Ow. Take off the little seal and then remove this aluminum crush washer at the top of the bolt. Slide that off and there's your old parts. Make sure this is cleaned. This is fairly clean to start with, so we're good. Here we go. Let's get a knife. Cut this open. And there's the little rubber washer, or O-ring I should say. So, come on. You want to stretch it on. There we go. A little bit tricky. Take the new crush washer, slide that on. How did the old one take a walk already? Oh, there it is, over here. Okay, so that's ready to go. We're just going to want to put a little bit of oil on that before we put it in. And then the other thing is we've got the O-ring, and we're also going to want to put a little bit of oil on the O-ring. So let's get that cover. Clean cloth, clean your cover. You can use a cotton cloth or a lint-free shop towel to do this. Don't use something like a paper towel, because it may leave lint behind which can get inside the engine. You know, chances of it being a problem are really thin, but you know, careful is always good. Clean in the groove. You can see cleaning in the groove here. Rag all the way around. It's just oil, but we want to start with a little bit of fresh oil in here. Here we go. So, here's the new one. There's the old one. Let's get some oil. The oil that we're going to be using in the engine. Well, it doesn't have to be, but obviously it makes perfect sense. And the usual cautions is not to get any of this foil in the oil. I'm not a big fan of this method of sealing the top of the cans, just because it creates the risk of getting oil in there. Okay, a little tip of the finger around the O-ring. There's oil on there. Place it in. A little O-ring on the bolt, and there we go. That's ready to go. So let's go back to the engine and put the filter in. So there's also rubber, probably nitrate seals on each side of this. I'm just going to put a dab of oil on there. Doesn't matter which way you put them in. I normally put it in with the part number sticking up. And there we go. Then the cover just has the new O-ring installed. Gently place it down. Generally the tabs go to the side for access. Bolt with the new O-ring and washer. And the ratchet. Now I'm going to set this to torque. I got to get my book out and do that, but I'm going to use the good and tight for now, and then I will torque it. I'll show you that. Don't forget to replace your sensor connection for the throttle position sensor, and make sure there's no oil around, and that's the top part of the engine. Pretty simple. Alright, next up is we want to drain the oil. Now that there's a skid plate under here, and it's aluminum, but there's a little inspection plan. So you take a small screwdriver, get it in these slots towards the back, and then there's a little tab at the front that fits into this slot. You take this cover out, and that will expose the drain plug. Drain plug is a 6mm Allen. Get your bucket below. And then the top tip is to take the ratchet off, otherwise when the oil runs down, the ratchet gets all full of oil. It's easy to clean the socket and the extension, but not so easy to clean the ratchet. Oil gets in everywhere. And another trick is to hold up on the plug as it comes out. Push up a little bit, and that'll keep the oil from draining out. And then you'll be able to tell once it's loose, and then boom, you drop it out. Look at that. For a guy who usually spills oil everywhere, that's pretty good. And so just respect enough. Use oil in this car. So and then just the cap off. Just go faster. This is warmed up cold. It's not hot, so you'll for the sake of a second, you'll just bring your hand where so you'll say that's right here. This only has 1,500 miles, 99 kilometers flight, and it's just over here. It's over here. That's going to be also so that might be able to probably just well in. So we'll you know the we're going to do that. You need to go forward. But that's the for people. So okay, I'm not gonna let you make you watch all the rest of this. Once it's all empty, we'll bring you back on. So the oil has stopped, well, almost stopped dripping. There's just a little bit. I'm just going to use the rag to clean up around there just a little bit. We've got the new crush washer on the drain plug, and we just thread it in. Easy as that. And I'm just going to get this in just snug, and then we'll get the torque wrench out. Here's the settings for both the oil filter and the engine drain plug. There's your little cap there, drain plug, and the how this assembly goes together. Anyway, there you go. So the specification is 25 Newton meters or 18 foot-pounds, and so I got my small torque wrench and I've set it to 25 Newton meters. And there we go. So really you're not pushing that hard. It's just enough to crush that that washer. We'll do a final cleanup, put the cap, get the fill cap off. I got my dedicated engine oil filter. We inspect to make sure what the inside of the cap looks like. Nice and clean, so no problems there. And we just want to slowly feed the oil into the engine. It's quite dark, isn't it? Right from the factory. A lot of additives in this oil to get that 10W60 grade. It's got a lot of viscosity modifiers in it. So there we go. I'm gonna quickly do these, and then we'll talk some more. Just before I go warm this up, I'm going to check around the filter and under the car to make sure there's no leaks. Back from the little drive, and we now have about 85-90 degrees Celsius on the oil, so it's all gonna let it sit now for a couple of minutes, and then we'll check. All right, it's been sitting about 2 minutes since we got back. See where we are, and if you can see, the line is right about there. So we need about 400 milliliters, which would be a third of a quart, something like that. Let's get that in and then we'll recheck. Well, that's basically all there is to do this. I think it's pretty straightforward. Thanks for watching Gary's Garage. As always, I do appreciate your support. I appreciate the likes, and if you like what you're seeing, what we're doing on the channel, please subscribe. Gonna have a bunch more stuff coming in the near future, so stay tuned. Thanks.